Hello, everybody, and welcome back to MUFC MPB here on YouTube. My name is Brooks, and today is Thursday, the 25th of April. We are approaching the end of the month. We are getting ever so close to May, which is the Premier League's final month. The final matches of the Premier League will be played, I think, on the 19th of May, which is literally just a few weeks away. We're coming in for an exciting end to the season. Obviously, Manchester United, disappointing campaign, domestically. We're not qualifying for the Champions League. It doesn't look like we're going to qualify for the Europa League unless the teams above us drop most of their points and we win all of our games. But that's not to say we're not going to have an exciting summer. We've got incomings. We're going to talk about some incomings today. We're going to talk about potential new manager. There's some developments regarding the director of football role, not at our club, but at the club we're trying to get somebody from. And we're also going to speak about a couple of transfers. Michael Elise, Jeremy Frimpong, and Victor Lindelof most notably. But we're going to start off with the main topic. As you can tell by the title, as you can tell by the picture or the tweet on your screen right now, and as you can tell by the thumbnail, we're going to be talking a lot about Thomas Tuchel, the former Chelsea manager, current Bayern Munich manager, but won't be the Bayern Munich manager after the end of this season. Of course, they didn't win the league. Bayer Leverkusen are still unbeaten and have already secured the title. They could go on and win the Champions League, Bayern Munich, for a bit of redemption for Tommy Tuchel. But it does look like he will be coming back or looking for another job this summer. And Manchester United is a destination which apparently he is very keen on. Now, reported by David Ornstein, probably the most reliable source when it comes to transfer news and news regarding football, Premier League, Manchester United, he's saying Thomas Tuchel would be interested in becoming Manchester United manager if the job became vacant. Now, this is something which we have definitely heard before, and I'm seeing a bit of division online in terms of Twitter. A lot of people want Thomas Tuchel because he has won the Champions League, he has won the Bundesliga, he has won trophies, and he has performed pretty well. And it's not something that is a secret, his pedigree in the world. He's one of the best managers in Europe. Let's call a spade a spade. He is. But I think what the problem is for most people is the fact that he doesn't really last well. This is what I think the problem for most people is. He doesn't really last long at clubs. And I think, as a Manchester United fan, I'm 24, I was born in 99, I grew up at the best possible time to be a Manchester United fan, and one thing that was always there, the constant, was Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, at Manchester United, I am used to there just being one guy. I want to see someone build. I don't even think this Manchester United, I'm not a fan of chopping and changing things. I feel like you give someone the responsibility. If there are signs, you help them build on it. You give them the facilities and the resources they need to get the best out of what they can possibly get the best out of. But modern football, and I think Chelsea might have been one of the first clubs to really put their foot on this and, it's a Chelsea thing, is as soon as the manager starts to dip, get rid and get someone else. And to be fair, to them, it works because they got Jose Mourinho, won 2 Premier Leagues. Got him gone. They got Avram Grant. They got to the Champions. Was it Avram Grant in the Champions League final? I think it was Avram Grant in the Champions League final in 2008. They then went and got Carlo Ancelotti. He won them the Premier League. They then went and got Andre Villas-Boas, I think it was. Didn't do too well, but in that same season they sacked him, got Roberto Di Matteo. They went and won the Champions League. So, for example, with Chelsea, the structure that they had under Roman Abramovich was a bit different. It was unique, but it worked for them. Manchester United were very, very different. We had Sir Alex Ferguson there with the Glazers and before the Glazers, but also we had David Gill, or David Gill. I don't know the correct pronunciation of his name. But it was, we were lucky enough to be able to witness the same manager evolve and adapt and change teams, but all at the same time winning the Champions League, winning the three-peat for the Premier League twice, winning everything possible is something that as a Manchester United fan we were able to watch, and I'm eternally grateful. But now we seem to be in the same position that Chelsea were in under Abramovich, where we're getting a manager in, they might win something, Mourinho won something, Van Gaal won something, Erik ten Hag has won something, but then you just get rid of them. And I think no matter if you like him or not, or like the manager or not, if they're producing, if they're getting results, if they're winning stuff, I think Mourinho might be a different case study. We could talk about that on Twitter. I don't know, but if you're winning something, I believe it gives you time, because it shows that you don't win something by accident. You don't accidentally win the FA Cup. You don't accidentally win the Champions League. You don't accidentally win you don't win the league by accident. These are things which I keep having to remind people. Like, people are saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter if we won the Carabao." It does matter if we won the Carabao Cup, because we won a trophy. It's a trophy. Every Manchester United fan loves to talk about, Manchester United are the most successful club, etc., etc. But technically Liverpool are. But we go and win the Carabao Cup, and apparently it doesn't matter. You have to make up your mind. And I think with Thomas Tuchel, I've seen him at Chelsea. Didn't last very long, even though he won the Champions League. I've seen him at Bayern Munich. Didn't last long, even though he won the Champions League. I've seen him at PSG. He didn't last long. I think he won the league there. Did he manage Dortmund, or was it was Frankfurt or I can't remember what team it was, but it was another German team, and he was there for a little bit of time. Like, when I'm looking at a potential replacement for Erik ten Hag, should he get sacked at the end of the season, I'm looking for someone whose track record shows me and gives me confidence that they will be here in 3 years. Because, as I said, we're not Chelsea under Abramovich. It doesn't work for every team. I think during that time with Chelsea under Abramovich, it kind of gave other teams a bit of inspiration. Maybe we can do this. So there were a lot of managers getting sacked and hired somewhere else within the week. But now we don't see it as much. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we don't see it as much as Abramovich isn't in charge of Chelsea anymore. And that would be my biggest concern with Thomas Tuchel, because, we could get him in the summer. And he's a very good manager. I'm sure he will get the best out of these players. But then in 18 months, he could be gone. And it wouldn't be a surprise. People couldn't pretend to be shocked, because that's what he's been doing in his career. I don't know the ins and outs. Obviously, I'm not a fly on the wall in the meeting rooms when he's having these farewell talks with the owners or whoever is talking with him. But there's a very good chance that he might not be here in 2 years, at the end of the season after next, if we do hire him at the end of this season. And I think this, reported by Christian Falk, a very reliable source when it comes to German football and Bayern Munich, Thomas Tuchel has no intention of staying at Bayern Munich beyond this summer. The manager has accepted the club's decision, and it is said from his entourage that he has had enough. Tuchel wants to return to England and is being discussed at Manchester United. Now, we can break this down a little bit. Thomas Tuchel has no intention of staying at Bayern Munich beyond this summer. The manager has accepted the club's decision. Now, that basically means the owners or whoever is in charge of Munich has said, you're getting on at the end of the season, it's not been enough, and he hasn't tried to fight it. He said, fair enough, my time's up here. I actually really want to go back to England anyway, so I guess this is a convenient time. Obviously, Manchester United, we're in a bit of a, I'd say, different situation to usual. We might be looking for a new manager. We might be preferring Erik ten Hag. We don't know, as fans, what is going on inside the head of Ratcliffe and inside the head of Barada and Jean-Claude and all of these other guys. We can only go off what we're told, and we're only told what they want us to be told, or what they will allow to be let out. So remember that, guys. Yes, his name will be discussed at Manchester United. It won't not be discussed at Manchester United. We are loosely in the market for a new manager. Thomas Tuchel won't have a job at the end of the season. He has experience in England, and I will take you through his managerial record at Chelsea because I have it on the screen right here. So he's been in charge of 63 Premier League matches with 35 wins, 17 draws and 11 losses. He's managed a goal every one. For every 2 goals he scores, he concedes 1. So let's say, for example, for the next 63 matches, we had to match those stats. We would have 62 2-1 results in terms of the goals. I think I'm saying this so wrong. It makes sense in my head. But basically, for every 2 goals Chelsea scored or Thomas Tuchel scored, they conceded 1. So they were outscoring their opponents. They had more wins than losses and draws combined, which is something I always look for. Because you could be in charge of 100 matches. You could have 60 wins But in my opinion, if you have 40 losses, that might not be that good. Whereas if you have 20 losses and 20 draws, that's even better. Do you know what I mean? So he has more draws than losses and 28 combined, which is obviously less than 35. So he has a very good record. He's not someone which people should doubt. This is what I'm saying, because yeah, he's a good manager. It would be a bonus if we were to get him in. Like, I don't think you could complain because he's done it in the Premier League. He's won the Champions League for a Premier League club. But there's only 63 matches there, and I just don't think that's enough. I think we need some assurances of longevity, and I think that, you know, contract is a contract. A contract can only take you as far as you want to go, because you can get bought out of your contract. A contract doesn't really mean much in terms of tying someone down, but I think personality might mean more. We're looking at someone here who goes around. He has managed a lot of clubs in a short amount of time. Someone like Pep Guardiola has managed 3 clubs. The shortest stint, I think, was Bayern Munich. It was 3 years, but he's been at City for 7-8 years, and I think that nowadays that is a very, very long time. Same with Jurgen Klopp, same with Mikel Arteta. He's in his 5th year. I think we're looking at a crop of Premier League teams now with managers that are there to stay. Arteta at Arsenal, Unai Emery at I'm talking about the top clubs, by the way. Unai Emery at Aston Villa, Postecoglou at Tottenham, obviously Guardiola at City. He might leave soon, but that he will get close to 10 years. Jurgen Klopp is getting close to 10 years. Mikel Arteta's halfway there. Roberto De Zerbi could be a replacement for Pep at City. I don't know, but what we're looking at now is the better managers, the upper class managers in Europe heading to the top sides in Premier League, and they're battling it out for years and years and years. Not 10 years ago when you'd have a manager for 18 months, they'd lose a couple games and you get rid of him. We don't really see that anymore. Managers are being given more of a chance to implement their footballing style, to get the results they need to get where they want to get to. And I'm a fan of it. So this is why I'm so conflicted with the managerial situation right now. Either you stick with Ten Hag, because we've had him for 2 years and we've seen him win and we know what he can do, and give him the year under the better structure, and then you make your decision. Or you get a manager this summer, a manager who has the history of staying at clubs and building a good relationship with clubs and being there for 4 or 5 years at least. We can't be going through managers every year and a half. I'm not a fan of it. But moving on from Thomas Tuchel, we're going to be talking about a couple of transfers. So let's start with Jeremy Frimpong. This is, again, someone who splits the opinion for Manchester United because of the rise, I guess, of Dalot and the quality of Wan-Bissaka. Do we need another right back? Or do we need someone who defensively, realistically, isn't as good as what we already have? He'd only help us going forward, but you sacrifice one for the other. Is that something that you want to do? But reported by Sam C. See who this guy is? Oh, I follow him. I didn't know I followed him. I didn't know his @. But reported by Sam C. Reports, who works for the United Stand, Jeremy Frimpong's financial advisor has opened a property company based in Manchester. Incorporation date was April 24th. A source, that means it was basically made official on the 24th of April that this is an official registered business. A source says there is a real possibility that Frimpong will join Manchester United this summer. Look, so yes and no. Of course, it could mean any Premier League club. He knows Manchester well because he used to play for Manchester City. If he's looking to open a property business in Manchester, so effectively becoming a landlord, I'm not assuming of, low-paying properties, £1,000 rent. I would imagine, given his economic status, what he earns, it will be the higher stuff. It will be stuff which brings him in a lot of money. And because of that, you'd probably want to be in the area. You'd probably want to be somewhere close to where you're working or where you have your business. So it is a possibility that he could be thinking about moving to Manchester. Whether or not this is I'm going to open a business, it doesn't matter if I move to Manchester or not, or I've been talking to Manchester United for a while and I'm confident that I will be moving. So this gives me the opportunity to do what I've wanted to do for a couple of years and open the property business here. We don't know what side of the coin it's on. But when it comes to Jeremy Frimpong at Manchester United, you have to look at the way Bayer Leverkusen play. Because, yeah, he's been emerging for a couple of years now, but I'd probably say this has been his best season of his career. Of course, he's part of an unbeaten side this season. He's just won the Bundesliga. It's looking like I don't know if they're favourites to win the Europa League, but it's looking sure like it. But he's a right midfielder / right winger. At worst, he's a right wing back. Manchester United need a right back who's comfortable going forward, comfortable slotting into the midfield, comfortable defensively as well. And we have to put emphasis on defensive awareness, defensive ability, and defensive acumen, because we concede so many goals. We are 33 games into the Premier League season, and our goal difference is +1. We've scored 51, I think, and we've conceded 50. As I've always said, Manchester United never really score the 100 goals. We never really have a 70+ goal difference. But at the same time, having a goal difference of +1 at this stage is terrible. And I know that, yeah, he'll offer a lot going forward, but will he deplete what we have at the back? Will he benefit or add to what we have at the back? I don't think so. I think what we have in Diogo Dalot is someone who we need to improve, because I think he can be the starting right back for Manchester United for another 5 years, because he's shown this season that he does have the potential, and he did kind of plateau a little bit. I think we can all come to an agreement on that, but he's really kicked on this season. He's been one of our more consistent performers and one of our players of the season. It wouldn't be a surprise to see him win that award. Players player, managers player, fans player, I don't know. But Diogo Dalot has been very, very important for us this season. If you bring in Frimpong, does Dalot get dropped? Let me know in the comment section down below, actually. If Manchester United were to go and sign Jeremy Frimpong this summer, would he be a first-team starter over Diogo Dalot, or would he be on the bench behind Diogo Dalot? Because I think it's a very important question and something which has to be taken into consideration when you're looking at the progress Diogo has made this season. Do you want to stunt that and potentially stop him from being one of the better right-backs in Europe because you want to get Jeremy Frimpong, who technically isn't even a right-back? Or do you want to carry on progressing Dalot and probably get someone else in who will help challenge Dalot, push him on a little bit more, but not take him out of the side? I don't know. It's a tricky situation to be in. But another transfer that could potentially happen this summer is Michael Olise. Reported by Sean Walsh, Michael Olise would be open to a summer transfer to Manchester United should they firm up their interest in him. Chelsea do not currently plan to reignite their interest in Olise. This isn't a nothing piece, but this is just like, yeah, he'd say yes to us if we wanted to sign him. It doesn't mean we've tried to sign him. It doesn't mean we've been speaking to him. It just means that he'd probably move. I don't know whether he's heard that from his mouth or this is just what he thinks and this is the general consensus. But it's not, yes, Manchester United have made contact with Crystal Palace over the potential transfer of Michael Olise this summer. It's not that. They're two completely different things. Would I take him? Yes. Would you take him? Let me know in the comment section down below. If we do take Michael Olise and sign him, does he start? Who does he replace? What could he add to the team? These are all things which we have to think about because it's not really going to be cheap. Apparently his release clause is 60 million, but it's a bit more complicated than just a straight 60 million. So I'd imagine you'd probably have to pay between 60 and 70, 75. I don't know. All of the other things that you have to add on to it as well. I definitely take Michael Olise. I think he could be the yin to Marcus Rashford's yang. Michael Olise is a top creator. Marcus Rashford would prefer to be the finisher, not the creator. And it would benefit Højlund as well because you have someone there who can get a ball into the box. He can beat a man. He can put it top bins. He can go off both feet. Admittedly, he isn't the best on his right foot, but it's still a very usable thing. I seen him score a header last week. I didn't know he could do that. That's something which he must have added to his game this season at Crystal Palace. But one thing I will say, if you get Olise from Palace, go and get Eze as well. Go and get Eze. Go and get Eberechi Eze. Because you have someone there who could... It would make so much sense to get Eze as well as Olise because Bruno needs a break sometimes, man. Bruno, as much as I love you and as much as I want to see you on the pitch every minute, I don't want to see you hit that wall, and there will come a time where you hit that wall because you've played every match of football for like 18 years in a row, man. And I think that's why you have to get someone in with the quality that there won't be such a drop off when it comes to coming on for Bruno or playing alongside Bruno, but there also won't be $100 million price tag on Eze, because I think you could get him for 40 to 55 million pounds. You could also get elite if you threw 105, 110 at both of them. I think that'd be quite good. 55 each, averaged out. I think it'd work. But yeah, I definitely take Michael Olise at Crystal Palace. But staying on the topic of Crystal Palace, reported by Craig Hope, this will be the penultimate thing we speak about. Crystal Palace chief Dougie Freedman is a contender for the Newcastle sporting director role as their process to appoint a Dan Ashworth replacement enters the final stages. So Jim Ratcliffe and his Ineos group also want Freedman as Manchester United's head of recruitment. Battle it out. Whoever wants him more gets him. It's as simple as that. Are we going to get Freedman and Ashworth? If we were able to do that, let's give Ineos a round of applause. But we're taking our time with Dan Ashworth, and obviously Newcastle need to find a replacement for him. And it would make sense because we were also in for Dougie Freedman, and apparently we still are. So I don't know. I just think that if we want them more, then we would be able to get them. It's just money. It literally is just money, because there obviously is a price on Freedman, and there obviously is a price on Ashworth. If Manchester United want him, then they're going to have to spend big. This is going to be a very expensive summer, and they know that. Obviously, they're trying to penny pinch. I wouldn't say as much as the Glazers were before, but saving money is what everybody should be doing. So I'm not surprised. Something which could generate some funds, though, is a potential departure. Reported by Ace Ball with 1.2 million followers, Galatasaray have made Victor Lindelof their top, in capital letters, defensive target this summer. They are determined to sign him. I want Victor Lindelof to leave, not because I don't think he's good enough, but because, look, he's the Swedish national captain. Being a footballer is an honour. Being a footballer for Manchester United is an honour. Being the captain, being named the official captain of your national side is an honour. But ever since he has been named captain of his national side, he hasn't really got the minutes he needs at Manchester United. And it would be a shame to have someone here who's captaining their national side just sitting on the bench, and then when the Euros comes, he might not play. When the World Cup comes and the qualifiers comes, he might not play, and it's just not good to see, because there is a good defender there. He has done well for Manchester United. But Galatasaray, they've made a few good signings. Making a signing like Victor Lindelof would be great for them. They'd be wanting to push Champions League qualification from the group. Signing a player like Lindelof, having Zaha, Maura Icardi. All of these players have experience in the Champions League. They have experience in Europe. They were in our group this year. Obviously, we know how good they are because we just didn't beat them. But next season, adding Victor Lindelof to that squad, I don't know how well they're doing in the Turkish league as well. They might be in 18th, I don't know. But I'd expect them to be in the Champions League next year as well. Adding someone of Victor Lindelof's quality would be a masterstroke. He wouldn't be expensive. He has European/Champions League experience. He has experience at Manchester United, playing at the top level. Again, as I said, he's the captain of his national side. He's an internationally experienced player. I think it'd be a win-win for both parties, but we just have to wait and see if this deal does happen. There's a top comment here though, which says nothing less than 20 million, which I think is spot on. I'd be looking for around 25 to 30 million for Lindelof. At the very least, we can't be getting rubbed out on these deals. So on the last point for this episode, Mike McGrath, has a reporter for the Daily Telegraph, has reported that Erik ten Hag refused to take questions from a number of journalists who were critical of him during and after Manchester United's dramatic Wembley collapse at the weekend. Ten Hag has felt some of the opinions and reporting of his future as Manchester United manager has crossed the line and believes it to be disrespectful. Good. It has, and it is, and it has been for a very long time, ever since he stepped through the door. We can't pretend like he doesn't keep up to date with the news and stuff that gets reported on his name, because he obviously does. And I think saying no to some reporters asking questions who they'll be in the press conference like, oh, Eric, please answer my question, blah, 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 well done, Eric. And then as soon as they get home, oh, Manchester United's worst manager ever, Eric Ten Hag, needs to get sacked. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's out of his depth, blah, 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 bad, bad, bad. Eric Ten Hag has had enough, and I'm happy. And I'm happy with this. I'd be doing the same, even after the first. Obviously, when you're a professional footballer, when you're in this profession, you will get criticised a lot. Sometimes justified and sometimes unjustified. But then sometimes it's not criticism, it's just abuse. And I think Eric Ten Hag is fine with criticism. He's got thick skin. But when it crosses the line, that's when he just says, nah. Like, I think it's a mature response. I think it's the right response. And I think it will kind of put a few journalists in their place, because journalists, they do a job because they enjoy reporting. Some people do a job because they want to stir the pot. Some are just an idiot. And I put them in the same category as the blue tick ITKs, football tacticos on Twitter. Some are just idiots. Some are like the attention. Some didn't get attention when they were younger, so they go and pursue these types of careers so that everybody's always waiting for something to come out of their mouth, and they love the thrill that they get off people retweeting and doing all of that stuff. But I side with Eric Ten Hag on this one. I think he did the right thing. But this is the end of the episode. Make sure you do leave a like on the video down below if you did enjoy, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow at MUFCMPB over on Twitter for all of your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, as well as the gossip and all the ins and outs from the club. Very reliable sources, so you will not miss out on anything, and it's instant as well. It's 24/7, it's instant. Make sure you also follow myself and the other presenters on X. All of our links will be in the description down below. As I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button and press that like button. But I will see you guys later, and goodbye.